welcome back to Pretty Walks and Ugly Talks. Today I'm filming an episode with Baylee. We met, what did you say, like 2 years or so ago?
Years ago, yeah.
Yeah, just randomly at everyone's favorite place that we won't name. And we were by far the youngest, you by far the youngest at the location.
Story of my life.
But you don't act like the youngest. That's what's, I always think that we are closer in age than what we are, but that's not true. And we kind of connected over some, we didn't, like, and we were both in a spot where we didn't really think we were going to be at the age or in that area of life. You were married at the time and starting to go in another direction at that moment. And I was able to connect to you with that because I was going through a tough time also within my marriage. So where are you at with all that now?
Well, I'm divorced. It's been a little over a year now, and lots of changes last year. But now I'm finally happier than I've ever been. Did a lot of healing. Lost a lot of people along the way.
Yeah.
But I feel like in those times you find who's really there for you and who's meant to be in your life and who's not, and that's kind of one of the bigger things I've taken away from that process. But it's definitely been a journey.
It's hard, I feel like, I think when people think you go through a divorce that you just lose that person. Mm-hmm. In reality, there's so many people tied into that relationship. It's friends, family, children. Even going through tough times that I've gone through, I've lost a handful of friends, even lately, and it's a lonely place to be in. Mm-hmm. However, when you're able to rise above it and say, okay, well, you're not here for a reason, you're not supporting me, you're not on my team, you're not showing up for me, so I'm going to show up for me, and if I'm the only one that I have, then that's all I have, and you just have to work with that. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that's kind of been what you've had to go through?
Absolutely. I feel like you definitely realize that people you thought were your friends definitely aren't. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the biggest struggles for me is all of the friends that I had during that time, they are just either surface level or, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but it's like they only want the good things. They only want the benefits of the friendship, and that's not how friendship is supposed to be.
That's right.
Friendship is supposed to be, somebody who's there for the highs and lows, not just the great times. But at the end of the day, I feel like, again, going through those hard things, weed out the people who aren't supposed to be in your life. And although it sucks in the time being, everything happens for a reason, and things happen so you can see that eventually.
I agree. Especially with the friends, it's amazing how many people struggle to be there for you when it's hard. Mm-hmm. But it's when you get to the other side of it, you're just truly like, I feel like I lost so much weight mentally. Mm-hmm. And hopefully a little bit physically, but
that's how I feel now. I'm just like looking back at it, I am so much more peaceful. My circle is so much smaller. And before that was like, such a traumatizing thing, but at the end of the day...
Well, it's scary to go through that, especially at a younger age, and by yourself. If you lose all your friends and, some of your family, you're going through one of the hardest things by yourself. Mm-hmm. And and life doesn't stop because you're going through something hard. Like, you have a daughter, you have a job, like a career, you've got to still show up for these things, mm-hmm. even if you just want to lay in bed and cry.
Yeah, and that's definitely how it was for a while. I felt like, because I had family against me, I had friends that I still have not talked to since everything went down, which is fine. Again, they weren't my friends in the first place, but I think one of the biggest thing in regards to like friendship that I've taken away from it is like moving forward and moving along with friendships that I currently have and that I will have. I feel like it's important not to feel like, and I think you and I kind of talked about this at dinner the other night, I feel like there's certain people in your life that feel like you feel like your life has to serve them.
Right.
And that's not the case at all. Like,
Correct.
it was my marriage, it was my decision, it's my life, not yours. Like, I'm the one who has to deal with it, I'm the one who's living in it.
Right.
And I feel like friendships, you shouldn't have that pressure of, like, having to please somebody else or having to serve them, because, again, it's not their life.
Correct.
And a friendship should carry you and appreciate you in whatever state that you're in. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've taken care of, or taken away from the whole friendship side of things, is just having somebody who, like, truly, like, genuinely wants that friendship because of you,
and cares
not
about you.
Yeah, and not because of your situations or your mistakes or your decisions, stuff like that.
I feel like there should be zero judgment in a true friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's going to be times where I'm like, hey, you completely fucked up there.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Are you going
and
to
that's
show up
what
and own
friends
it?
should do. Exactly. Like,
If you're not going to show up and own it, I'm going to tell you that you need to do that.
right. And
But I'm not-
it's not always going to be something you want to hear.
Right.
But, like, you don't need to, like, disown me or completely vanish because I made a mistake, you know?
Right. But, and also, I mean, it's cliche, but mistakes lead you to the path that you're supposed to be on.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's true anyway. I think that everything, like you said earlier, happens for a reason, and again, it's your journey.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this the other night too. The amount of people that have extra energy to focus on what you're doing in your life, or what I'm doing in my life, or what John is doing in his life, it's baffling to me. I'm like, what kind of coffee are you drinking? Because I barely can make it through my day
Right.
with minimal things to do, and you're over here stressing and worried about what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
And
comprehend that.
I've definitely been at a place where, you know, I worry about things I don't need to worry about.
Oh, yeah.
I've stuck my nose in business that I don't have any business being in.
Well, we've all done it. That's how you learn from it. You're
Right, but I
business student.
think, and that's another thing throughout this whole journey, the past, like, year and a half or so, is just truly figuring out, like, what actually matters, who matters, and it just, like, I don't know the word I'm looking for. Sorry. I'm trying to making all the extra noise go away,
Yes,
and
the chaos.
extra chaos, and just focusing on, like, what truly serves you and makes you at peace is what matters. And when you're in that state of mind and I feel like that's the area I'm in finally. It's like once you're in that state of mind and you find that, like, friendships and people will come into your life that are meant to be there and that are healthy and authentic, because you've worked on yourself and you've overcome all those mistakes and journey that you went through.
It's law of attraction, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's what I feel like when I had, in the last couple of months, the things that I've had going on, the people that I've met, I never would have met in a different headspace or in a different journey or chapter. And it's just mind-blowing to me. I'm like, wow, if you just let things happen, they really do happen.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of trying so hard to either block them or fit into a certain picture or frame or that kind of thing. We talked about how people, they don't accept when you get in that headspace and when you get that clarity. And it's almost like because they can't get there, because they have such a negative outlook on life, but they don't want anyone else to get there because they don't comprehend how to get there. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work, and people don't want to put work into anything anymore. And I think that that's a huge issue in relationships, friendships, business, all that kind of thing, all those kinds of things. But
yeah, I mean, I think I agree with that, and I think it's like in my experience, I think I had to let go of a lot of people who, because not to air my dirty laundry out, but I made mistakes in my marriage, and I didn't leave it in the best. There's a million different ways I could have done it.
Right.
Better. Anyways.
But again, that's something that you've stepped up and you've owned, and that's part of your journey.
Right, and because of those situations and those mistakes, or I don't even know if you call them mistakes, because I'm happy with my decision. I mean, I wouldn't Would I change how I did things? Absolutely. But would I change the outcome? No. I think I made the best decision for me, and obviously I wouldn't have made those decisions if it were meant for me. But with that being said, I think because I did what I did and things went down how they did, I've had to let go of a lot of relationships that only saw me for those mistakes or for my past or for what I did wrong, instead of like grinding with me through the healing and, you know,
Yeah.
realizing that I do own my mistakes and I do admit it. Just kind of, like you said, it's a very negative, like toxic boundary that, or I
Yeah.
think
No,
I
it
just
is.
watched that.
No, you're right. It is a boundary.
But yeah, just like removing that toxicity and like negative so you can heal, I think has been a blessing in disguise for me to lose the people that I did, because if I still had them in my life, again, they would only see me for those mistakes, and that would constantly be held over my head.
Right.
And somebody, you can't heal when that's constantly on top of you. So
You cannot. I feel like to touch on only being there when things are like owning your mistakes or them, all they can think about are your mistakes. It also goes hand in hand with, it's easy to be a friend when everything's perfect, right? It's so easy to be a friend when you have the perfect little family, your marriage is perfect, your career's perfect, all these things are perfect. But it's hard for some people to be friends when things get tough, and not just saying your mistakes, but also having this persona of being perfect is just not, to think that as a friend that that's all you're going to do for someone is wild to me. It's wild. Okay, so what's going on now? So you've overcome these friendships and these challenges and toxic people, and I can just tell that you're in a different, you can see that you're in a different place, but like even talking to you the last couple of weeks, I can see it and hear it. So what's going on now?
Well, I'm dating. I've been dating somebody for a few months now.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's great. I've never dated somebody else with the kiddo.
Okay.
So that's a huge plus, because not that I wouldn't date somebody without a kid, but I've tried that, and a lot of people just, I mean, if you don't have a kid, you don't get it.
You don't get it. There's no way to get it.
Right. Just it's a whole nother ball game. So being able to relate with somebody in that field is amazing. And he's also divorced. So that's a whole nother thing that we can relate on.
Right.
And just somebody who, I think it's kind of refreshing for me because he's not in this city or in the state even.
Okay, so long distance.
So it's long distance. But just kind of like having that fresh start and away from the chaos here. It's been great, and he's made his fair share of mistakes along with me, and we can just relate, and I'm able to just totally be myself and be open. And I feel like now, since I am in this healed state, finally, I feel like I'm able to fully give myself to somebody,
and that's important.
I feel like I've never really been there before.
Okay.
I mean, even in my marriage, I wasn't fully me.
Were you guarded, or do you think you were just like trying to make everything look how you thought it should look?
I don't necessarily want to say I was guarded. I had a lot of work to do with me, in regards to past things, just as a new business owner, as a mom. I kind of just, things moved really fast with my marriage, and I kind of just jumped into it, I think, because it was like a security blanket.
Yeah, what you're supposed to do next, that kind of thing.
And this is how you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get married and move in and then have babies, and this is what everybody else is doing. And not that was the sole reason, but yeah, it's been good to relate with our past. I don't know. I feel like all of that's
You're good. You're good. You're right. I mean, it is. it's hard enough to find friends that get you and relate to you, but then when you find a person that you want to share love and time with, that's not an easy thing to do, I don't think, especially in this world, like with social media, and just work doesn't ever stop. No one ever puts their phone down. And then finding time, because everyone's just always going, especially with kids. Long distance, that's fun.
No, it's not.
Actually, I've done long distance and I loved it. It is hard.
Yeah, it's hard, but I
You
also
get a refresh every time you see each other, and you kind of get to shut the world out for that timeline, that time block that you're together.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I also think, and him and I have talked a lot about this, and I think with both of our journeys, and because for both of us, like, divorce is still fresh. I mean, I'm a year out. He's not quite there yet, but almost. So I feel like with the distance, it kind of allows us to, like, slow down a little bit versus, like, maybe we're not ready to jump fully into it, and maybe we need that space to kind of take that time to make sure it is right. And also with kids, I feel like the distance with kids it's hard, and it's easier in a way because it allows us to both, versus like being together all the time like we probably would be if we were closer.
Right.
We have that time to break up and to spend individual time with our kiddos and each other when we see each other. So it's hard, but
you
it's
get that
also,
like perfect balance, because then you get the kids together sometimes, and then when you have your alone time, you have your alone time. But then you also have your alone time, which is my favorite thing.
Yeah, I feel like it's a blessing in disguise, but I'm already over it.
I know it's a lot with with traveling, and it's expensive and it's time consuming, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was worth it.
How long did you do it for?
Oh gosh, 2 years.
Oh my.
But I mean, one was California, not one, same person. California and then Nashville. So Nashville was a little bit more tolerable because it's just a drive.
See, yeah, I wish.
But California, it was a little
imagine.
over a year. That's 15 years ago, so my memory is not here, but it was easily over a year. And I remember we had a gap at one point. We saw each other in May, and we didn't see each other again until August. And it was rough. And that was only the second time.
We did like 9 days in between our last one, and I was like, hurry up!
I know. We, that was only the second time that we had seen each other because we've been together previously and took time apart. So we hadn't seen each other for a year or so. Saw each other in May, and then had to wait until August again.
Why?
Just schedules and work and
Yeah, I won't be doing that.
expenses. We were 24, 23. I don't know. Okay, not quite 15 years ago. Just gave my age away. Which I'm not ashamed of. I'm proud. I just think, especially being in another state, you get to see different things that you normally wouldn't, and you don't have to be around people that you see every day. Like here, like you said earlier, like it's an escape, and you get to be with the person that you want to be with. There's just something exciting about it.
Yeah, I mean, it is exciting, but it also sucks.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I wish I could just come home from work and see him, but.
Well, and I can't imagine being married and then doing a long distance, because I feel like once you're married, you just understand that routine and that, the normalcy of that. And then to not, that would be, mine was years ago. I wasn't married before, so it's probably made it easier, and no kids were involved. So what does it look like when you go, I don't know if you want to say where he lives or not, and that's fine, but what does it look like when you go to his state and his town where he lives? What do you guys do, besides bedroom activities?
Well,
you have to eat.
He's in Arizona.
Okay.
And I am a huge outdoor person, and so is he.
Okay.
Actually, our first date, I flew out to meet him. Never met him before.
Okay, yeah, we didn't even touch on that. How did you guys meet?
We had mutual friends online.
Okay.
And then I reached out to him.
Of course.
And his first response was, "Hi, bae, you're a cute mom." And I was like,
"Oh."
So anyways, yeah, we started talking, and he tried, this was back in like May or June, I think.
Okay.
And he wanted to wait until August to meet just because schedules and work, and he's very, very busy with work. And I was like, absolutely not. I will not be waiting that long. So a couple weeks.
That is a long time. That's the time.
Yeah, I would have just not been meeting him. Like, no,
We're
absolutely not. I'm not going to talk to you for that long without meeting you, because like, what happens if I meet you and I don't even like you?
Right, that just wasted
waste
3
of time.
months.
Yeah. So I was like, I'll be out there in a few weeks. Got my plane ticket, and we went camping for our first date.
Oh,
so
cool.
And it was amazing. So I flew out. We went to the middle of nowhere in Arizona, and we were paddleboarding the first day we met, and his phone fell in the lake.
Of course.
Didn't care. Didn't
freak out.
Didn't freak out. Didn't have anything to say. Didn't have to go get a new one. Just didn't care. Like, it was just like we hit it off so quick, and just the conversation. And granted, we had touched up a lot before meeting, but
still, there has to be that feeling when you actually like touch hands or hug.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be there.
It was amazing. So yeah, the first night, our first date was camping. I went camping in the middle of nowhere with a stranger, so that could have ended very badly. But
Glad you're alive.
It didn't. It was great. So, and then within the first month, I was back there like 3 or 4 times. Like in
the first month?
Yeah, in the span of a month.
Wow.
Because we just couldn't stay away from each other. And then finally which was probably, I go back and forth on it being too soon, but I mean, who's to say it's too soon? Like, if we feel like if it felt,
you feel good about it now?
Yeah.
Then
oh yeah.
Then you're good.
But if, some people say it's too soon, but if we're feeling it, then I feel like that's what we're gonna roll with, and we've kind of set those boundaries. Like, if we feel like this is how fast we want to move, then we're gonna do it. We're not gonna be afraid of like what anyone else thinks. But a couple weeks ago, we got our daughters together, and it was amazing. His daughter is almost 5, and mine just turned 8. So it's a great age gap.
Yeah.
But
and they just hit it off.
Oh yeah, little buddies. But they had FaceTimed and stuff before.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it was really good. I feel like that. This is off topic, but I feel like that completely did not answer your question.
No, you're fine. We'll switch around.
So okay. And what was the question you asked?
What do you guys do, like, when he's from Arizona, what do you guys do when you go out there? So you do a lot of outdoor stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Lots of camping. He's into hunting and archery.
Okay.
So,
so you have a whole new
hobby
to learn?
I'm going to get myself a bow and arrow.
Some camouflage?
Yep. So we do a lot of, out in the lake, out in the mountains. But I think really, because our time is so, like, sparse in between, that we kind of just want to do nothing. Like,
just zone out together.
Yeah, just, like, sit and enjoy and talk and soak in those moments. But he's only been here once, and he comes again today.
He's coming today.
But I showed him downtown Carmel.
Of course.
Which, the spot. I want to take him to our spot, because our food is the best.
It is good. You could take him to the new spot.
Yeah, I haven't been
other
there
location.
yet,
Same food.
Yeah.
Some of it's better.
But yeah, I mean, I told him, I said there's not a whole lot to do in Indiana other than cornhole and stare at cornfields. So, not a whole lot here.
So how long did he stay the first time he was here? Like, what do your trips look like?
So, the last time was completely last minute.
Okay.
We literally booked it the night before, and he just came for Friday and Saturday and left Sunday night.
Oh my
so it was very last minute, but we couldn't wait in between. But this time he'll be here for 5 days.
Oh, nice.
So a little bit longer. And my daughter's dad and I just switched schedules to a week on, a week off.
Okay.
So I'll have, those long weeks to go travel and be with him. So
Yeah.
very thankful for that.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
So what's the longest trip that you guys have done? Like how long have you stayed out in Arizona? Because obviously this one's 5 days.
So when my daughter and I were out there, we stayed for 8 or 9 days.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a while. It was when she was on summer break, so we didn't have to worry about school.
Right. Okay. Awesome. So okay, I have so many questions now that we opened up this subject. Do you feel like after like a certain day you're like, okay, I want my space back, because you're used to having your own space even with or without your daughter being home. Do you feel like that yet, or do you feel like I can't get enough?
Both. I mean,
it's just normal to want your own space.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not, I don't think it's necessarily about like having my own space. I mean, I love that. I think it's more so just being off of my routine.
Yeah.
Because the routine's just not the same. I'm sure we'll get one eventually when I'm there, but the routine is just not the same whenever I'm at home. So I think in that regard, I miss that, but I'm always like, every time I go out, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna extend my flight. So in that regard, I definitely can't get enough. And the second I'm back, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna book the next flight. Let's go tomorrow.
I need 2 days of routine, and then I'll be back.
Yeah, so it's a good mix of both.
Good. I think that's healthy, because I think if you're so absorbed in it that you completely forget about what is at home or what you have to go back to, then it's like la la land. So it's like not
reality.
real.
Exactly.
I mean, everyone who doesn't want to like forget about the world for 5 days and just lie around and cuddle. I mean, that's good for your mental health, and that's just what it boils down to. I remember being in a headspace where I was just getting there, and people around. It's my fault because I continued to be around certain people, and they damaged the work that I had done slowly, like day by day, conversation by conversation, because they thought that I was above them, and that wasn't it. It was just a matter of like I'm just trying to get healthy. So it is a lot of work, and I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
And I'm excited for thank you. I'm excited for what's next.
Me too.
And I think we'll have you back for another podcast. That would be fun.
Yes.
We can update on the dating and all the other fun things. Next time we can talk about how much we like to piss people off with our outfits. That would be fun. But we'll save that one for next time. Thanks for joining for another episode of Pretty Walks and Ugly Talks.